Immediate plans are going to be to band-aid that up. I probably will JB weld something behind there first to kind of hold it in place. Then I will use the fiberglass body filler perhaps on the back and on this side of it just to make sure it's secure. Then we'll do the parking sensors across there just like I have on all my other Vics. Remember, this is the proper location to do it in this strip here. If you do it lower, then you run into the actual bumper itself. I will do a backup camera approximately in this location here. Mount the brain for the parking sensors over there. Run the wires up behind that carpet into the main passenger compartment. Remove this trim piece. If my memory is serving me correct, it just pops off. There may be a retaining bolt somewhere down in here, but I'm thinking this one just snaps off. Run the wire up through there underneath the headliner all the way to the front. You see, I'm going to have to repair the rear window defroster tab. I will start with the electrically conductive adhesive and see if I can make that work. It's basically failed me every time I've tried it, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. I probably will pull this tint. You can't really tell in the daytime, but you can't see through it at night, and I have a feeling it's because the bubbling makes it really hard to see. You can also see the ghosting there where it says Constable. So obviously the tint faded. What's funny is I don't think you can see that Constable from the outside. At least this is the first time I've noticed it. And even though I had all this out and took apart, I'll take it off again. So these pieces here just pop straight up. You don't need to pull them at any kind of angle or anything. The what we call kick panel just pulls out. There's two tabs here, and it'll just pull kind of out. Take that out. You gotta pull this trim up to get to it. Gonna remove the A-pillar trim again. It should just snap in. There shouldn't be any kind of retaining anything's in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this trim, the airbag, the stereo obviously. And so all the wires are going to be running. There's the police power point down there. Everything will originate from there as far as power. The wires for the backup camera and backup system will come up here. I'll probably do a custom Kydex insert here and put the USB plug in that I like to add, as well as switches to do the backup camera. Have an override where it comes on full-time power as opposed to just with the key on, and also a fog light switch. And then the keyless entry wiring will also run. The brain for it will be down there. The wires will run various places, so the trunk pop will run to here. The parking light activation will run to the back of the switch over there. While I've got all this apart, I'll take all of this off and resolder all the wiring for the odometer that's not working right now. And most of this just pops off. This trim piece here, if you've seen my other video, there's, I want to say like 7 or 8 different 7mm screws that hold it in. I think there's like a couple here, a couple on that other side, and then the 2 up top there. And then this whole thing comes out. The radio actually connects to this. However, you can use they have a special tool that pops into those, or you can do what I do a lot of times, just stick nails, as in like nails like you hammer into wood, into those holes, and then just kind of squeeze them together, and that'll release it as well. While I have all this out, you know, it's a good time to clean out these air ducts that are behind here. This piece itself, a lot of times I'll take outside and just hose off really well, get all those cleaned up. So yeah, that's the plan. The battery is already out of the vehicle, so no worries about the airbag exploding when I pop that off. I don't know that I've ever filmed taking that out, so I'll show you how it works. And basically, we're going to take the glove box off. There's a couple bolts underneath it, and then it just kind of pops out. This piece just pops straight off. You got to disconnect the electrical for here and here and here, and then the airbag. I think there's like maybe 10 millimeter or 13 millimeter nuts or bolts holding it a couple places. I believe this piece is held on with one nut or bolt, and then it just slides out as well, and then that'll give me the freedom to run all the wires. Because basically what I do is I'll run a ground wire over here, and then that'll be the main ground, and then I'll have my switches set up so that they will send ground over to relays. And so when the relays are activated, the relays will be down in there, but when they're activated, they'll send either hot or accessory power to various things, like the backup camera, which will be up here. We'll have the ability to run off of accessory or full-time battery power. The reason I do that, obviously, is if you get stopped by the police, a lot of times they tell you turn off your engine, so you can override that and keep the camera recording. Same thing if you're ever just needing to record something without starting the car or turning the accessory on, you just push the button and it'll start recording for you. Records front and rear, which is nice, as well as sound. And while I have all of these pieces off, the A pillar, I gotta get the B pillar off. And again, I'm thinking the B pillar has retaining bolts and or has to get the seat belt off. But once I do, I can pull down the headliner enough that I can get to the back side of these, so I can remove these, patch them with my patented WJ Handy Dad method of the metal disc being stuck up on the inside with JB Weld and aluminum tape to hold it till the JB Weld dries, and then that creates a solid seal there that's not going to vibrate open later on. And then obviously you can Bondo the top before you paint. And my original plan was to paint the whole car. After I washed it, it's actually not as bad as I thought, so I may end up just buffing the hood and the fenders and the doors, and then obviously the roof will have to be painted when I do the body work on it, as well as the trunk, because it's got the plug there. The rest of the car may be good enough to just leave alone. I mean, I may want to plug those holes and possibly paint these doors. We'll see. But I mean, obviously there are some scrapes and so forth. I mean, so the car would look best with a full paint job, but to try to save myself some time and work, especially knowing that a brand new driver will be driving it, and there's always a chance of him bumping into things and scraping things up. It would suck if I gave this thing a, you know, equivalent of like a $5,000 or $10,000 paint job, and then he goes and scrapes it up the first week. So I have to paint the bumper once I fix that. If I pull this dent, I may have to paint this part. I mean, you know, see there's some paint coming off of there, but I mean, overall this paint is way better than it looked before I washed it. So like I said, before I washed it, I really thought the whole thing would have to be sanded down to the bare metal and start over. This fender is starting to get a little chip there. May need to paint it. I mean, that's the problem though. If you paint basically this fender, the roof, the trunk, the rear doors, then you may start having it kind of looking mismatched, because you'll have old paint and new paint, and it's never a perfect match. And I'm not going to go to the trouble of blending halfway into the door and all that stuff. I mean, I'm literally going to try to get this done quickly and inexpensively. I did polish the headlights. I I did order new ones as well, but I was amazed. These things were really yellow and horrible, and now they're passable. I mean, had I not already ordered new ones, I'd probably let him run with these for a while. And there you see the battery is definitely out of the car, so we don't have to worry about any kind of electrical problems while I'm digging around in there, unplugging airbags, that sort of stuff. I have removed the seat belt bottom. It's an 18mm nut that holds it down on a stud. You do have to lift up the rear seat. I've done this in other videos. If you need more help than that, I'll try to remember to post a link. But needing that so that you can totally remove this panel, and then sometimes it's a good idea to pull this back a little bit so you can kind of see what you're doing. And that will slide out of there for you so that you can totally take this out. So you see there's basically metal retaining clips there. There's supposed to be one there. I don't know if this one, it doesn't look like it stayed in the car. It looks like they just lost it at some point. Anyway, I'll go clean all this dirt out. But now I have access to get up under here. And like I said, I need to glue that back on. Just like the C pillar, the A pillar, just unclip. Sometimes it's good to pull the weather stripping away. And you see again, it should have 2 metal clips. This one only has 1. And, well, okay, the other one is stuck in the car, so I'll pull this one out and reattach it to here so that we'll have both when we go back to put this together. You have to unbolt anything that's held on, so like your sun visor's got 3 T20 screws, and then if you have like the grab handles or the coat hanger type thingies in the back, you're gonna have to undo those. Mine, those are missing. You can see I was able to wrestle this around the B pillar without removing it, so that is a blessing, because I want to say the B pillar trim's a little bit more work than obviously the A and the C, which just pop off. If my memory is correct, you have to unbolt the top of the seat belt, and there may even be some other bolts in there, so more work. And now that this is down, you can access underneath, get to the plugs or whatever else you're wanting to do. Like for me, I'm going to be running wires across here, so this doesn't need to be totally off, but the only thing, remember, you got to pull that down to get that out of the way. But now I have full access to where I need to go.